Al Jazeera podcasts.
Today, detained and beaten while trying to deliver aid to Gaza. We speak to a U.S. activist said to have been singled out and abused in Israeli detention. I'm Malika Bilal, and this is The Take. That's the sound of dozens of supporters and community members welcoming flotilla activist Chris Smalls at the airport in New York last Friday. Our producer Sonia Bhagat was there to meet him.
He is landing here in about 20 minutes or so. He was one of 21 crew members on the Handala Flotilla, which was sailing to break the siege on Gaza. And of course, that was intercepted by the Israeli military. Chris was detained, he was imprisoned, and he was brutally assaulted.
Chris, how are you feeling? How did you feel when you came off the plane and you saw this huge crowd of supporters?
I'm really appreciative. The community always shows up. You know, that's what we do. That's what community is about. They see me in the streets all the time, these people. They're my family, they're extended family. You know, everybody knows that I show up for them, and I'm glad they showed up for me.
We obviously heard the reports that you were brutalized when you were detained. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I expected that. The racism and bigotry is embedded in Israelis' culture. And that's unfortunate because I got a glimpse of what Palestinians go through, and there's nothing compared to what they go through every day. So it's not about me. It's not about the Handala crew. It's about the people of Gaza and the Palestinians that's suffering every day.
Today, I'm catching up with Chris at his home in New Jersey.
My name is Chris Smalls. I'm the founder of the Amazon Labor Union, the first union in American history for Amazon workers, based in Staten Island.
Chris, welcome to The Take, and thank you for taking time to talk to us. You have had quite the journey. You just returned to the U.S. early Friday morning. So first of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. You know, I had a really good welcoming. I know in the videos that people seen that love was really felt in the room. My loved ones was there. And I was surrounded by that all weekend pretty much. And also plenty of time to really rest and take care of myself and get back on my feet slowly.
So behind the scenes here, my team and I were discussing how to meet you at the airport, what time you might land, what that might look like. We didn't necessarily have an idea of the groundswell of support of other people who were planning to meet you at the airport. What was it like to step through those doors and see all of those people?
It was everything I could imagine. You know, when I was in prison over there in Israel, that's what really kept me going, throughout the whole situation mentally, knowing that I was going to come home to my family. And that's all I really cared about. Being a father, I definitely wanted to come home, and all I could think about was hugging my kids one more time.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned being in prison, so let's go there. After Israel intercepted the Handala, the vessel that you were on, Israeli forces detained you and 20 other international activists and journalists who were with you on the ship. Take me on board during that seizure, a seizure that took place in international waters outside of Israel's maritime authority. Talk about what happened to you and what it was like.
So I usually took the night shift on the Handala. I'm a night owl, for those who know. Don't know, I like to stay up all night, pretty much a workaholic, and I hardly sleep throughout the night anyway. So I would take the night shift from 12 to 4 a.m. Usually during the night watch is when you start to see a lot of drone activity. And prior to the day of interception, there was an increased amount of surveillance happening. The night of before I was doing night watch, I counted over 50 drones that were surveilling and circling us throughout the whole night.
Wow.
And during the interception, it was the same thing. There was a lot of drone activity. And then one point in time, as we're getting closer to the Gaza Strip, visibility just got really, really foggy. I couldn't see anything really out in the water. You really can't see anything anyway because you're surrounded by water. There's no sunlight. There's no moonlight. So without a flashlight, you can't see, more than 10 feet away from you. So, everybody's, it was really chaotic for a second, but also, we all were pretty calm because we've been through a lot of extensive training and we were well prepared for what was about to happen. Before they board the ship, they cut communications off from the rest of the world. For those who don't know, the Wi-Fi goes down immediately. So, whatever we were live streaming, people saw real time, the point of interception when the communication got cut.
I want to describe this to people who haven't seen it. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition was live streaming the events on the boat. And so there's a video that shows at least half a dozen Israeli soldiers boarding the vessel. And you and the other activists and journalists are sitting on board together. You're wearing your life jackets. You have your arms raised. And then what happened?
Yeah, they make an announcement, saying we're not here to hurt anybody. We just coming to take over the ship and remain calm and things like that. But what really caught my attention was I was sitting in between our nurse Justine, and the MP Emma from France. And one of the soldiers' weapons crossed our laps, and she grabbed me real tight. So in that moment, I just made sure that I comforted her because I felt that she was scared. So I just told her to remain calm. We're going to be fine. I'm right here for you. So in that moment, that's all I was really thinking about was the rest of my crew, especially the women on board, and especially our grandmother of the ship, Vidges, 70-year-old cook who was on board as well.
So can you describe what you remember about how you got off the boat, how you were taken off the boat?
Yeah, I mean, after a long 12 hours of sailing with the IOF, we had to go be transferred at the port of Ashad, I believe. And this is the port authorities for immigration, so the immigration department for Israel. And it was we arrived early morning. I want to say right before noon. They were calling our names out with our passports. They allowed us to take our belongings. And then one by one, everybody's being called off the boat. For some reason, the Americans were left for last, and there was 7 of us. And the other 4 Americans got off the ship, and that's when a bunch of cameras that they had were being shoved in our face once again for Israel's propaganda. So I covered up my face and I basically said I do not consent to anything being taken. And I think they took that as a sign of aggression. And I was attacked, by 7 authorities who threw me to the ground, put their knees in my back, twisted my arms behind my back, and then they used my jewelry, my chains around my neck to choke me and tell me to shut up repeatedly. Then from that point, I was taken to a separate room where I was thrown on the floor again. I was separated from the crew, and I was guarded by 5 Israeli authorities the entire time. They didn't allow me to speak. They didn't allow me to call out to my comrades who I heard asking for me that was in the room next door. And the entire time throughout the process, they pretty much heavily guarded me, even when I had to go sit down and meet with my lawyers as well.
Wow. So you mentioned the moment you were covering your face and they were using your jewelry against you. The Israeli Foreign Ministry told The Guardian this statement. Contrary to the claims made, the passenger violently resisted. We emphasize that no other passenger made a similar claim. What is your response to their response?
Oh, that's simple. I mean, they have cameras. I encourage them to release the footage. I was never aggressive at all. Everybody got off the ship peacefully. I was held up by myself, and I was not in any type of fashion showing a threat or being aggressive at all. So covering my face and saying what I said to them, they may have took that as a sign, but I didn't do anything physically to show that type of aggression.
Well, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition says that you were beaten and kicked by 7 uniformed people, and that this level of force against you was not used against any of the other abducted activists. You were also the only Black member of the crew. What do you make of that? You had to have known going in that you were alone in that. What was that calculation like for you?
Yeah. I mean, from the very beginning, that was always a concern, but also something that I was well aware of. I actually tweeted about it weeks before. So I knew I was the only Black man. I knew it was a very dangerous situation, a life or death situation that we're talking about. And the crew knew that as well. They knew that I was among the most vulnerable. So that it was strategic in everything that we did, as far as me sitting between the 2 women. And they protected me as much as possible. I did hear some of the members who were witnessing what was happening. I heard them say, "We're right here with you, Chris." And that's all I needed to know. I knew that they were there. I knew there was nothing that they could do. And in our meetings, I would tell them, I said, if anything happens to me, I don't want anybody to step up for me, because, I know what I was signing up for.
More with Chris Smalls after the break.
In 2014, Karen Rodriguez was kidnapped by one of Mexico's deadliest cartels. Her mum vowed to hunt them down and bring them to justice. We'll investigate this story and others from across the globe on True Crime Reports.
What was your mental space like while in detention? Because you're held in there without contact for a while. The allegations of abuse and what you had to endure, all of that mounting, what was going through your head? How did you get through it?
Oh yeah, a lot of prayer for sure. And just thinking about my children for sure. I definitely had that at the forefront of my mind the whole time. And really, the morale of my crew, my brothers that I was locked up with. It was 7 of us in one cell, so very tight. We're in no AC, so we're burning up every day, but we kept our spirits high because of the brotherhood that we built. We were just basically talking about food, our favorite foods. We're on a hunger strike until, they started being deported. The room got quieter. And now you're down to just me and Hatem, my brother Hatem from Tunisia. We're the only people of color. And we know that us staying in there was more psychological warfare that they were trying to do. They were definitely trying to break us spiritually and break us psychologically. They threw food in our face. They kept asking us for food. Do we want to eat? Knowing that we were on a hunger strike. And they punished us for it. They kept us on 24-hour lockdown. We didn't have any ER time. We didn't have any phone calls. We only met with our lawyers twice. And that was it. And one night, Yemen dropped 2 bombs on Tel Aviv. So you're hearing sirens. You don't know what's going on. It's really, really surreal situation to be in. And I don't wish that on any of my comrades to have to go through that. We shouldn't have to be doing what we're doing. We should, once again, hold Israel accountable for this illegal siege.
The U.S. Embassy and the State Department have yet to release a public statement. Is there something behind the scenes that we don't know? Have they reached out to you? Did they try to intervene at all as you were illegally detained?
No, it's a shame. It's a shame that they haven't. And it's a shame that, once again, 7 Americans who taxpaying dollars go towards this genocide. When it was time for us to receive justice, none of them showed up. You know, I had a phone call with the consulate in Tel Aviv one time, and he promised my safety, but it was already after I'd been assaulted, so he failed on that.
Wow. So, Chris, at the airport, after the abuse, after the detention, we touched on this earlier, but you were met with dozens of supporters.
Everything that Chris Smalls has endured being part of the flotilla that tried to bring food and medicine to the starving and oppressed people in Gaza. What he endured, the brutality that he endured while he was being illegally held by the Israeli government was outrageous. And I just felt that I had to be here.
I was angry, sad, upset. I definitely cried because I've been through something similar, not clearly nowhere near like the IDF, but with the police where I was pinned down and beat up by 6 cops. So it's brought back that memory, and I just wanted to show him support and let him know that he's got nothing but love from all of us.
There was immense support, not just there, but also online and in the streets. The fashion brand Telfar broadcast a video message calling for your release, calling for solidarity at one of its stores in New York City. How did that make you feel when you found out about all of this?
Yeah, I'm still in awe. You know, I'm catching up. You know, it took me a day to get back into my account, and to see the amount of messages pouring in every hour. My phone is still till this day hasn't stopped buzzing. So, it just definitely makes me even more humble and definitely just loved and supported. And I feel like people have seen me in the streets in New York protesting for various reasons, especially over at Palestine for the last 2 years. People have seen me worldwide, different governments around the world, met a lot of prominent people, and to see everybody return the favor when I'm in the time of need, that was the best thing that I can ask for.
Do you feel like the tide is changing when it comes to Palestine? Because you've seen support before, in your struggle for organizing at Amazon. But does this feel any different? Does this feel like something might be changing when it comes to the issue that you are advocating on?
Well, this is connecting the dots. You know, Amazon has everything to do with this genocide. You know, their $7.2 billion investment into the Nimbus project is military industrial complex one-on-one. So fighting Amazon, fighting corporations, this is all connected in our struggle. And that's what I want people to realize as well. You're supporting these corporations that are directly being the hand and the intelligence and surveilling and killing innocent women and children in Gaza. It's all connected.
What about the labor movement here in the U.S.? What support have you received from the U.S. labor movement?
Oh, not much. Not much at all. And they are definitely complicit as well in this genocide. Unfortunately, I had to call that out when I shared that the AFL-CIO and the longshoremen who once stood on the right side of history when they went up against South Africa to apartheid, they have passed 0 resolutions since October 7th about the genocide that's taking place. And they continue to ship arms and have investments with Israel and manufacture weapons for them. So I called that out. The U.S. labor movement has failed the working class, and they've been shipping arms to Israel for the last 21 months. That is the U.S. labor unions, and that needs to be also held accountable and called out as well. We have to hold these unions accountable for that.
I'm just scrolling through some of the headlines about you, just so people really get a sense of how big of a deal you are. You were on Time's list of the 100 most influential people twice, more than once. Is Chris Smalls the future of labor? It's just another headline. It's a little mind-boggling to go from that to, I don't want to say crickets when it comes to your detention and beating, but nowhere near the amount of coverage and the amount of um, support from on high. We've seen the grassroots support, but we haven't seen the condemnations and the support from official channels.
That's what happens when you just, when you're pro-Palestine, unfortunately. And that's exactly what it is. Just, call it what it is. People, when you started talking about Palestinian liberation, a lot of people got canceled for several different things, and we've seen it. And it's no different in the labor movement. The labor movement has chose a side when they decided to endorse the Democrats or the Republicans, whatever side they chose. The two-party system, they're both complicit in genocide.
Chris, finally, the Handala reached further than even the Medellin, which was another Gaza aid flotilla intercepted by Israel in June. As we continue to witness the forced starvation of Palestinians in Gaza, what is your message to the people that you had hoped to reach there on this ship with baby formula and teddy bears and medical supplies and food?
Yeah, I said it from day one. We may not be able to feed all of you. We may not be able to feed every Palestinian in Gaza, but we definitely feeding the people hope, and we are not giving up. There will be another flotilla, and there will be another one after that. We will not stop until we break the siege. And I know in the last 2 decades, the 37 missions that were sent out there, only 5 of the ships made it. But once again, we have a different light on this situation now that more Americans are joining them. The more politicians are getting involved from other different countries. So things are definitely changing, and I hope that they see that the real thing is Gaza has shown the world how to really love and really bring people together. And I hope that they have hope in that, and we can continue to support them in any way we can possible.
Chris, thank you for taking the time, and I hope you feel back to 100% soon.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And that's The Take. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to give it a like so more people can find this show. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what stood out to you, or if there's anything you'd like us to dive deeper into next time. Our team is always checking in, so let's keep the conversation going. We'll see you tomorrow.